The newly transferred impoverished student is frail and pitiable, evoking the sympathy of all. Until we can all hear the whispers of her heart. Clad in a faded school uniform, she holds our donations and, with reddened eyes, expresses her gratitude, saying, "Thank you all for your concern." Yet, as we turn away, we hear her maniacal laughter echoing in our minds. How easily I can deceive these fools into parting with their money. Oh, how I wish that pretentious class monitor would just vanish. Oh, does this man truly believe that his donation of 5,000 yuan entitles him to my favor? What a delusion! Goodness, self-harm is so painful. Perhaps next time I should just use red ink instead. "One, classmates, please settle down," instructed our homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang, as he lightly rapped on the podium. "Today, we welcome a new student to our class." I lifted my gaze to see a girl standing beside Mr. Wang, her head bowed, clad in a faded school uniform. Her long bangs nearly obscured half of her face, and faint red marks were barely visible on her wrist. This is Bai Nancian, who has transferred from a mountainous county. Her family situation is rather unique, so I hope everyone will extend their kindness to her, Mr. Wang continued, gently patting the girl's shoulder. "Now, please introduce yourself." The girl trembled slightly, resembling a startled creature. Her voice barely above a whisper. "Hello, everyone, I am Bai Nancian." Her voice dwindled to an almost inaudible murmur. A few girls in the front row exchanged sympathetic glances, particularly when they noticed her ill-fitting, worn uniform and frayed backpack. As the class monitor, I took the initiative to stand up. "Welcome, Lin classmate. I am Lin Yanxi, the class monitor. If you need any assistance, please feel free to ask." Bai Nancian raised her head, revealing a pair of glistening, doe-like eyes, and timidly nodded. Thank you." Monitor. What a pretentious class monitor. How revolting. Clearly, a self-righteous top student. Ugh. A sharp female voice erupted in my mind, freezing me in place. The voice was unmistakably Bai Nancian's, yet her lips remained motionless. Instinctively, I glanced around, only to find my classmates displaying expressions of shock, exchanging glances of bewilderment. The physical education representative, Zhao Ming, even stood up, eyes wide in disbelief, focused intently on Bai Nancian. Meanwhile, Bai Nancian appeared utterly oblivious to the peculiar atmosphere. Still standing with her head down, twisting the hem of her garment, exuding an aura of pitiful vulnerability. What are these fools looking so astonished for? Am I enchanting them? Ha, rural schools are so easily deceived. Especially that Zhao Ming. He looks like a rich oaf, ripe for exploitation. A collective gasp escaped the class. The study committee member, Li Ting, dropped her pen, which clattered to the ground. Bai Nancian flinched at the sound, her shoulders hunching. Damn it, what a startle. But it works in my favor, makes me seem even more pitiful. She lifted her pale face, her eyes artfully reddened. "I apologize. Did I do something wrong, Mr. Wang?" quickly reassured her. "Not at all, Lin classmate, no need to be anxious." He then turned to us, saying, "Classmates, Bai Nancian comes from a difficult background. Her father has passed away, and her mother is bedridden. I hope everyone can lend her a helping hand." Ha ha ha. That old hag would be astonished to know my mother loses money at the mahjong parlor every day. But feigning poverty is quite advantageous. Last time, the school donated over 20,000 to me. I wonder how much I can extract this time. The classroom fell into a deep silence, each student regarding Bai Nancian as if she were a curiosity. She appeared outwardly frail and pitiable, yet her inner thoughts were venomous and calculating. "Lin Yanxi, Mr. Wang, call my name. As class monitor, please take special care of Lin classmate." I mechanically nodded, my mind still grappling with this surreal situation. Could I hear Bai Nancian's thoughts? No, it wasn't just me. Clearly, the entire class could hear. Bai Nancian approached me and, under the terrified gazes of her classmates, sat down in the empty seat beside me. She whispered, "Monitor, I look forward to your guidance." Damn, I detest sitting next to a bookworm. However, it works out. I can copy her answers during exams. I heard she's in the physics competition class. If I could secure a recommendation, that would be a windfall. My eyes were fixated on her wrist, where those self-inflicted scars appeared almost as if drawn with red ink upon closer inspection. Just then, Zhao Ming approached, his tall figure halting before Bai Nancian's desk. "New classmate, your desk and chair seem a bit unstable. May I adjust them for you?" Bai Nanxian's cheeks flushed instantly, and she replied in a soft voice. Teach, thank you. Wow, this guy is so tall and handsome. His family likely runs a company? I must win him over. But I need to feign innocence for a few days. These rich second-generation kids fall for that easily. Zhao Ming's expression darkened immediately. He nodded stiffly and hurried back to his seat, exchanging bewildered glances with several boys along the way. As the bell for recess rang and Mr. Wang exited the classroom, chaos erupted.
Did you hear that?
That voice. Is it her thoughts? Terrifying. Bai Nanxian looked at everyone in confusion, a hint of panic flickering in her eyes. What is happening? Why are they reacting like this? Did I smudge my makeup? She timidly tugged at my sleeve. Monitor. Do they dislike me? I gazed at her seemingly innocent face, contrasting sharply with the malicious thoughts swirling in my mind, my stomach churning. No, it's just. I was at a loss for words when Li Ting suddenly called out. Everyone quiet. Let's not alert the snake. The class fell silent, all eyes trained on Bai Nanxian, who remained oblivious, her mind busily plotting. Tomorrow, let the homeroom teacher organize a donation drive. I must scam at least 30,000 this time. That Zhao Ming looks wealthy. I need to find a way to get him to donate more. And the monitor, acting so virtuous, surely can't refuse to contribute a month's worth of living expenses. I exchanged a glance with my classmates. We all understood we could hear her inner voice, while she remained unaware. This performance had only just begun.
2.
As the recess bell tolled, an eerie silence enveloped the classroom. Students clustered in small groups, whispering in hushed tones, occasionally casting peculiar glances at Bai Nanxian, who sat beside me. She was bent over, meticulously organizing her books, her slender fingers cautiously smoothing the creases of the pages. What is wrong with these country bumpkins? They were so warm just a moment ago, now they act as if they've seen a ghost. Is there some unspoken rule at this wretched school that I'm unaware of? I feigned engrossment in my homework, all the while observing her. Her long eyelashes cast delicate shadows on her face, rendering her seemingly pitiful. Who could fathom that a girl who appeared so fragile could harbor such malice within? Class monitor. Li Ting approached, rapping lightly on my desk. The class committee needs to hold a meeting now. Her expression conveyed that this was no ordinary gathering. Lin, classmate. I must attend a meeting, I informed Bai Nanxian. She lifted her gaze, offering a shy smile. All right, monitor. Hurry up and leave. Stop pretending to be responsible. I detest these self-righteous girls. She undoubtedly reported me to the teachers more than once. I gritted my teeth and followed Li Ting to the storage room at the back of the classroom. Upon entering, I was taken aback by the sight before me. Not only the class committee, but nearly every classmate was crammed inside, each face bearing the look of someone who had just witnessed a calamity. We all heard it, right? Zhao Ming was the first to speak, his brows furrowed. That voice. We heard it. Several classmates echoed in unison. It's terrifying. She thinks like that. Those scars are fake. I was close enough to see clearly. They looked like they were drawn with red ink. She even called me a fat pig. The physical education representative, Lu Fong, exclaimed, her eyes red. I leaned against the wall, feeling dizzy. So this isn't just my imagination. We can all hear her thoughts?
Clearly so.
Li Ting adjusted her glasses, pondering. But why? How is this possible? It defies logic. Unless we all collectively hallucinated, the physics representative, Chun Yu, interjected, shaking his head. Who cares about logic? Zhao Ming slammed his fist against the wall. That girl is a fraud. She was just calculating how to swindle my money. The storage room erupted into chaos. Classmates clamored to recount the chilling thoughts they had overheard from Bai Nanxian, each revelation more spine-chilling than the last. Silence. I raised my voice. The question now is, what do we do? Should we expose her directly? Wait. Li Ting suddenly pointed to the corner. Zhang Yi. You've been silent this whole time. Didn't you hear anything? All eyes turned to the transfer student, Zhang Yi. He was notably tall, with a deep complexion, and typically spoke little. At this moment, he furrowed his brow and shook his head. Did you hear something? The entire class collectively gasped. Did you not hear the thoughts of Bai Nanxian? Zhao Ming asked incredulously. Zhang Yi appeared utterly bewildered. What are you all talking about? The new student seemed quite quiet. We exchanged glances, perplexed. Why could the entire class hear? Yet Zhang Yi was oblivious. But that was not the priority. I swiftly resolved that since Zhang Yi was unaware, we should remain discreet and observe what Bai Nanxian intended to do. The class monitor was right. Li Ting nodded in agreement, emphasizing the need to gather more evidence. But we must proceed cautiously. Zhao Ming cautioned in a hushed tone, that girl is not to be trifled with. He did not finish his thought, but we all understood. Upon returning to our seats, Bai Nanxian was busy writing in her notebook. As soon as she noticed my approach, she hurriedly closed it. Almost caught. What expressions would these fools wear if they knew I had noted each of their weaknesses and secrets? My blood ran cold. Had she already begun collecting dirt on her classmates? Class monitor, what are you and the class committee discussing? She asked me, tilting her head with an innocent expression.
Oh.
Just about next week's sports meet, I fabricated a lie. Sports meet? Boring. Just a perfect opportunity to flirt with Zhao Ming. That physique, that build, must be quite something in bed. I suddenly coughed violently, interrupting her inappropriate thoughts. Bai Nanxian quickly offered me a bottle of water. Class monitor, are you all right? It would be best if you choked. That would save me some annoyance. Thank you, I'm fine, I replied, pushing her water away and striving to maintain my composure. The first class of the afternoon was Chinese, taught by our homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang. As he entered, he announced, "Students, considering Bai Nanxian's family situation, the school has decided to organize a charitable donation drive, and we hope everyone will participate enthusiastically." The classroom fell into a profound silence. All eyes were fixed on Bai Nanxian. She stood up, her eyes immediately glistening with tears. Thank you, teacher and classmates," her voice choked. "I truly don't know what to say. Haha, got her. I can at least con 3,000. Zhao Ming, that rich second generation, must contribute at least 5,000, right?" The class monitor, so concerned about appearances, wouldn't dare donate less than a month's living expenses. And that plump girl Lu Fong, whose family owns a supermarket, how could she not part with 2,000? Mr. Wang looked at the sobbing Bai Nanxian with sympathy. "Don't be sad. Everyone will help you." He remained oblivious to the ashen faces of the students below. Teacher, Zhang Yi suddenly raised his hand. "I'll donate 500. Bai Nanxian cast a grateful glance at Zhang Yi but inwardly scoffed. Only 500? What a miser. Though he looks decent enough, he might serve as a backup. Unbeknownst to Zhang Yi, he had already been labeled as a backup in Bai Nanxian's mind, and he smiled back at her. "I'll donate 1,000. Zhao Ming suddenly declared, his voice icy. Bai Nanxian's eyes brightened. As expected, I knew this young master cared about appearances. But judging by that look, could he possibly be interested in me? Tonight, I'll send him a few tantalizing photos to reel him in." Zhao Ming's expression darkened in an instant. His fists clenched, and I hastily signaled him to calm down. The donation box circulated throughout the classroom, with each student contributing money. Bai Nanxian feigned gratitude, bowing repeatedly while calculating internally. Lu Fong only donated 300? What a stingy person. Li Ting's 600 is acceptable. Lin Yanqi, that wretch, only donated 500? What a poser. When the bell rang, Mr. Wang instructed the Life Committee members to tally the donations. As Bai Nanxian passed by the podium, she accidentally knocked over the donation box, scattering the money everywhere. "I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, hurriedly crouching down to collect the bills. Perfect opportunity to see how much each person donated. I'll remember this for future reference. When she picked up the 500 I donated, she sneered internally. "Lin Yanqi, just wait." After school, the students tacitly remained behind. Bai Nanxian claimed she was going to visit her sick mother and left early. She was not going to the hospital at all. A classmate from the sports department, tasked with shadowing her, rushed back into the classroom. Breathless, she went to the commercial street and entered a milk tea shop, meeting up with a young man sporting bleached hair. She even changed her clothes. Another student added, "Designer brands. That t-shirt must cost over 1,000. Zhao Ming shot up abruptly. "We have to inform Mr. Wang." "Wait," I stopped him. "We have no evidence. We can't just say we heard her thoughts, can we? The teacher would think we're collectively hysterical." "The class monitor is right," Li Ting pondered. "We need substantial evidence." "I have an idea," Lu Fong suddenly said. "Tomorrow is chemistry lab day, we can't." We gathered around, listening to Lu Fong's plan, gradually smiling. If it succeeds, Bai Nanxian's true nature would be completely exposed. The next morning, Bai Nanxian entered the classroom wearing the same faded school uniform, the scars on her wrist appearing even more pronounced. "Good morning, classmates," she greeted timidly. "What a bunch of fools. Today I'll be able to collect the donations." How delightful. We exchanged glances, silently preparing for our performance. In the chemistry lab, the faint scent of hydrochloric acid lingered in the air. I cautiously adjusted the flame of the alcohol lamp while keeping a keen eye on Bai Nanxian nearby. It had been 3 days since we discovered the entire class could hear her thoughts. Today, we were conducting a copper sulfate crystallization experiment. The chemistry teacher adjusted his glasses. "Pair up, and remember to prioritize safety. Concentrated sulfuric acid is highly corrosive. Avoid direct skin contact." Bai Nanxian was paired with me. She stood nervously by the lab table, her delicate fingers twisting together. "Class monitor, I've never done this kind of experiment before," she stammered. Even a fool could do this experiment. Pretending not to understand is exhausting. But it's a perfect chance to douse her in sulfuric acid and see how she pretends to be an honor student. My fingers trembled, nearly dropping the test tube. What was she up to? "It's all right, I'll teach you." I forced myself to remain calm, deliberately slowing my actions as I demonstrated. The entire class appeared engaged in their experiments, yet they were all straining to listen to Bai Nanxian's thoughts. "First, weigh out 5 grams of copper sulfate," I instructed. Observing her expression, she seemed to be paying attention, but her eyes kept darting toward the concentrated sulfuric acid bottle. In a moment, pretend to slip and spill the acid on her right hand. It would be best if it leaves a scar, so she can't participate in that damned physics competition. I abruptly looked up, locking eyes with Zhao Ming. His face was ashen, clearly having heard as well. Li Ting discreetly moved to the adjacent lab table, ready to assist. Next, I poured the copper sulfate into a beaker and added 30 milliliters of water. My palms were clammy with sweat, yet I kept my voice steady. Bai Nanxian obediently nodded, reaching for the beaker. Now is the moment. She suddenly slipped, leaning toward me, the beaker tilting dangerously in her grasp. "Watch out." Zhao Ming lunged forward, pulling me aside just in time. Simultaneously, Li Ting accidentally bumped into Bai Nanxian.
"Ah!"
She shrieked, spilling the liquid all over her left hand. It was merely tap water. We had long since swapped the reagent bottles. My hand won't move." Bai Nanxian collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down her face. "It hurts so much. Damn it, why is it just water? But it's fine. The pity ploy will be more convincing. This bunch of fools will surely feel sorry for me." The chemistry teacher hurried over. "What happened? What did you spill?" "It's sulfuric acid," Bai Nanxian sobbed, extending her left hand, which bore red marks she had inflicted on herself. "Quick, rinse it with sodium bicarbonate solution." The chemistry teacher's face paled. "Ha, a bunch of idiots. This will surely double the donations, and I might even extort the school for medical expenses." Bai Nanxian laughed triumphantly within, while outwardly, she feigned agony. The entire class stood frozen, witnessing the absurdity of the scene. Zhao Ming's lips twitched, and Lu Fong covered her mouth, fearing she would burst into laughter. I went to the infirmary to fetch some burn ointment. Li Ting volunteered eagerly, swiftly escaping the scene, and we all erupted into laughter as we heard her sprint down the corridor. I accompanied Lin to the infirmary. Suddenly, Zhang Yi stepped forward, supporting Bai Nanxian. He furrowed his brows, genuinely seeming to believe that Bai Nanxian had sustained an injury. "This big fool is so easily deceived. Yes, the one. Just act a little frail, and I'll have him carry me." Bai Nanxian leaned weakly against Zhang Yi. Thank you. We watched as Zhang Yi half-carried Bai Nanxian away, and the entire class finally burst into laughter. She had just thought it was a clever ruse. The sulfuric acid had long been replaced with water, and the red mark on her hand was self-inflicted. How terrifying. She had genuinely contemplated throwing sulfuric acid at the class monitor. The chemistry teacher looked bewildered. "What are you all talking about?" "Oh, nothing, teacher," I managed a strained smile. "We're just very concerned about Lin." The chemistry class concluded in an eerie atmosphere. Bai Nanxian was significantly injured and granted permission to leave school early. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi, the only one in class who could not hear Bai Nanxian's inner thoughts, became her most ardent supporter. "Why does everyone have a problem with Bai Nanxian?" Zhang Yi stopped me and Zhao Ming on our way home from school. "She's already so pitiful." Zhao Ming scoffed. "Pitiful? You know her." I quickly kicked him. Zhang Yi, some matters are not as they appear, I suggested delicately. Zhang Yi's gaze flickered. You all simply do not understand. With that, he turned and walked away. What's up with him? Zhao Ming frowned, as if he had been bewitched. I shook my head, harboring a vague suspicion, though I could not articulate it. The next day, Bai Nanxian arrived at school with her hand bandaged, garnering sympathy from several uninformed teachers. Our homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang, even proposed organizing another fundraiser. No need. Teacher, Bai Nanxian shook her head, her eyes reddening. The classmates have already helped me a lot. That meddlesome old fool, if they donate again, they will surely become suspicious. I need to find another way to make money. As the class bell rang, just after Mr. Wang left, Bai Nanxian accidentally spilled water on her bandage. Oh no. It seems like the wound has become infected. She weakly leaned over her desk. Several boys immediately gathered around, including Zhang Yi. I'll take you to the infirmary. Should I notify your parents? A bunch of sycophants. But I can use them to deal with that wretched Lin Yanxi. Bai Nanxian lifted her head, her eyes brimming with tears. No need, I'll manage. I observed this farce with indifference, packing my bag to head to the physics competition class. Just as I reached the classroom door, I heard Bai Nanxian's thoughts. Isn't today the selection for the finalists in the physics competition? It would be great if Lin Yanxi couldn't attend. A jolt ran through me, and I turned to see her malevolent gaze. She quickly lowered her head, resuming her weak demeanor. After class, I returned to the classroom to retrieve my forgotten notebook, only to discover Bai Nanxian alone inside, perusing my physics notes. What are you doing? Asked coldly from the doorway. She flinched, dropping the notebook. I was just organizing your desk, class monitor. Damn it. Why did you come back so early? That's my personal notebook. I walked over to pick it up, only to find several crucial pages of derivations ripped out. Bai Nanxian's eyes immediately filled with tears. I didn't tear it. It was like that when I got here. There's no evidence. Let us see what you can do about it. I took a deep breath, knowing that arguing would be futile. Don't touch my things again. As I left the classroom, my hands still trembled, not from fear, but from anger. She not only sought money and attention, but now aimed to sabotage my competition opportunity. The following day, the physics teacher announced the preliminary results. Lin Yanxi, several pages of your derivation are missing, putting your qualification at risk. Please ensure to safeguard your notes in the future. I glanced at Bai Nanxian, who flashed me an innocent smile. This is just the beginning, wretch. The finalist spot will surely be mine. After class, the entire class gathered around. Did she touch your notes? Zhao Ming's fists cracked ominously. We need to find a way to stop her. Li Ting nudged her glasses up. But we can't directly say we can hear her thoughts. Lu Fang lamented. Zhang Yi stood a short distance away, watching coldly, evidently reporting back to Bai Nanxian again. I have an idea, Chen Yu suddenly said, since we can hear her thoughts. Why not use that to our advantage? We huddled together, listening to Chen Yu's plan, gradually breaking into smiles. If the plan succeeded, it would not only protect my opportunity to participate in the competition but also ensure that Bai Nanxian faced the consequences of her actions. Do we need Zhang Yi's cooperation? Zhao Ming frowned. He was completely brainwashed by Bai Nanxian now. No, I shook my head. The fewer people who know, the better. Especially Zhang Yi. I always feel there is some connection between him and Bai Nanxian that we don't know about. After school, I saw Zhang Yi and Bai Nanxian conversing at the school gate. Zhang Yi's expression was strange, neither admiration nor sympathy, but rather a sense of urgency. As I approached, they immediately parted ways. Class monitor, Bai Nanxian called sweetly, "Congratulations on passing the preliminary round. You'd better have an accident on the day of the finals."
Thank you.
I feigned ignorance of her curse. Zhang Yi, can we speak for a moment? Zhang Yi hesitated before following me aside. What is going on with you? I asked directly. Everyone in class can see that Bai Nanxian has issues. Why are you the only one who doesn't? You don't understand, Zhang Yi interrupted, his eyes flickering. She has her reasons. What reasons could justify her wanting to throw sulfuric acid at a classmate? What reasons could compel her to tear someone's notes? I lowered my voice, questioning him. Zhang Yi's face changed dramatically. How do you know about the sulfur? He suddenly fell silent, as though realizing he had let something slip. A heaviness settled in my heart. He clearly could not hear Bai Nanxian's thoughts. How could he know about the sulfuric acid? Unless...
Did she tell you?
I fixed my gaze on Zhang Yi's eyes. Did she tell you she originally intended to throw sulfuric acid at me? Zhang Yi's silence answered everything. He not only could not hear Bai Nanxian's thoughts, but was likely her only accomplice. A week passed, and Bai Nanxian clearly sensed something was amiss. During the break, I pretended to read, observing her out of the corner of my eye. She sat at her desk, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her clothes, her eyes scanning each classmate in the room. Normally, at this time, at least 3 or 4 boys would be surrounding her, fawning over her, yet now, everyone seemed to intentionally avoid her. What is going on? A hint of panic seeped into her thoughts. Yesterday, Li Ming said he would help me with chemistry. Why is everyone avoiding me today? Zhao Ming hasn't he come to see me in days? Did they all conspire against me? Li Ting passed by me, deliberately raising her voice. Lin Yanqi, how is your preparation for the physics competition finals going? I'm sure some people are furious. Bai Nanxian's eyelashes fluttered. She pretended not to hear, but her thoughts erupted. What does this wretched girl mean? What does she know? It's impossible. I performed so convincingly. Quite well. I smiled in response. I've practiced the experimental section thoroughly, so there won't be any issues with lost notes this time. Bai Nanxian's fingers tightened, wrinkling the hem of her uniform. Have they discovered that I tore the notes? No, I was so discreet. The class bell rang. It was Mr. Wang's language class. Bai Nanxian suddenly straightened her back, a calculating glint flashing in her eyes. Class, please turn to page 58 of your textbooks, Mr. Wang adjusted his glasses. Today we will discuss excerpts from Dream of the Red Chamber. Halfway through the lesson, Bai Nanxian suddenly raised her hand. Teacher, I feel a bit dizzy. Her voice was weak enough to be just right, her face as pale as paper, and beads of sweat were even forming on her forehead. Later, Li Ting would tell me that she had secretly smeared it with mineral water. Do you need to go to the infirmary? Mr. Wang asked with concern. No, thank you. Teacher, Bai Nanxian smiled bravely. I can hold on to finish, and then she feigned fainting, lurching forward. If that old fool had any conscience, she would let me go home to rest, and perhaps give me some consolation money. This group of bumpkin teachers are so gullible. Seated in front of her, Zhao Ming had no choice but to turn and catch her, his expression akin to having touched something filthy. Lin's complexion was quite poor. Teacher Wang approached and gently touched her forehead. Should I call your parents to pick you up? No need, teacher. Bai Nanxian weakly shook her head. My mother is unwell. I do not wish to cause her worry. As she spoke, tears fell gracefully down her cheeks. Old hag, hurry up and let me go home. I still need to meet a Jia. He got a new batch of bags at an incredible price. Teacher Wang's heart softened. Then you should rest in the infirmary first. After school, I will arrange for a classmate to take you home. Thank you, teacher, Bai Nanxian said gratefully, though inwardly she scoffed. Fool, I'll just climb over the wall later. I won't wait for your arrangements. While packing her bag, she accidentally dropped a bottle of medicine, and several white pills rolled out. In a flurry, she bent down to retrieve them, revealing the scars on her wrist once more. What kind of medicine is this? Teacher Wang asked, helping her pick up a pill. It's my mother's pain medication. Bai Nanxian's voice grew softer. Sometimes when the pain is too much, I take one. Ha ha ha, vitamin C can fool people too. This old hag is so gullible. Tomorrow, everyone will hear about my perseverance in class despite being ill. Teacher Wang's eyes unexpectedly glistened with tears. You are such a resilient child. Classmates should learn from Bai Nanxian's indomitable spirit. The expressions of the entire class were as if they had all swallowed a fly. I bit my lip tightly to suppress my laughter. Resilient? She was clearly mocking Teacher Wang, calling her an old hag in her heart. After Bai Nanxian left, the atmosphere in the classroom noticeably lightened. How disgusting. Lu Fang was the first to crack, internally cursing Teacher Wang for being an old hag while outwardly feigning respect. We need to find a way to expose her. Zhao Ming slammed his fist on the table. We can't let her keep deceiving everyone. But how do we prove it?
Li Ting adjusted her glasses.
We can't just tell the teacher that we can hear her thoughts, can we? I have a plan. I lowered my voice. The final round of the physics competition is next week, and Bai Nanxian will surely try to sabotage things. We'll set a trap. During the break, our class was allowed to stay in the classroom due to a flu outbreak. In reality, we embarked on a covert operation to document all of Bai Nanxian's contradictory words and actions. On Tuesday, she claimed her mother was hospitalized and needed money, but after school, she went to the mall. On Wednesday, the location of her wrist scars changed. On Thursday, she asserted she never ate spicy food. Yet someone spotted her outside school enjoying spicy hot pot. After school, we split into groups as planned. One group followed by Nancian to document her activities outside of school. Another gathered evidence of her fabricated poverty, while I, along with Xiao Ming and Li Ting, prepared traps for the physics competition. She will definitely try to interfere with your competition, Li Ting analyzed. The most likely scenario is cheating or preventing you from participating altogether. Xiao Ming added darkly. Just like how she tried to splash sulfuric acid on you. I nodded. So we'll create an opportunity for her, a chance to cheat. The next day, I deliberately brought up the physics competition in class. It seems the experimental questions for the finals might have been leaked. I casually said, I heard from someone in the experimental high school that it's related to electromagnetism. Bai Nanxian's ears perked up immediately. Leaked questions? If only I could know them in advance. Is it true? Li Ting played along. Aren't the questions supposed to be strictly confidential? I'm not sure. I shrugged. But someone saw the equipment list, and it seems to be about Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. I intentionally opened my notebook on the desk, revealing a piece of paper with hastily scribbled guesses about the final questions, listing several electromagnetism-related topics. During the break, as I went to the restroom, I saw Bai Nancian hurriedly taking photos of my notes through the corridor window. What luck! The finals are secured now. Lin Yanqi, the fool, deserves to have her guaranteed spot snatched away. I quietly returned to the restroom, waiting a while before heading back to class. Bai Nancian was already seated, her face betraying an unmistakable sense of triumph. On the day of the physics competition finals, the entire school suspended classes to serve as the examination venue. As I entered the laboratory, I noticed Bai Nancian conversing with the invigilating teacher, wearing that familiar fake smile. This student claims there's an issue with her seating. The invigilating teacher explained to me. Lin Yanqi, as class monitor, could you please check? Fool has taken the bait. Bai Nanxian's thoughts brimmed with smugness. Once she touches that device, it will short-circuit and the entire experiment will be ruined. I feigned inspecting her seating arrangement and indeed discovered a suspicious device with exposed wires beneath the table, seemingly rigged to cause a short circuit. Everything seems fine, I said loudly, while subtly adjusting the device's orientation. Perhaps Lin is just a bit nervous. As the exam commenced, the questions were indeed related to electromagnetism, but entirely different from what I had leaked. Bai Nanxian's face grew increasingly pale, her eyes darting to gauge my progress. During the experimental phase, we were required to measure the strength of the electromagnetic field with a precise instrument. I noticed Bai Nanxian's hands trembling. She clearly had no idea how to operate the equipment. Suddenly, a shriek pierced the air. Bai Nanxian's station erupted in black smoke as her experimental device short-circuited, sparks flying everywhere.
Ah!
My eyes! She screamed, covering her face. What happened? That device was aimed at Lin Yanqi. The invigilating teacher promptly cut off the power and rushed to check on her. Thankfully, it was just a scare. Her eyes were fine, but her experiment was utterly ruined. This is deliberate sabotage. The head invigilator said sternly. How could such a device be found under your table? Bai Nanxian's tears flowed instantly. I don't know. Perhaps someone is trying to harm me, she insinuated, casting a pointed glance in my direction. It must be that Lin Yanqi, the wretched girl. But it's fine. I'll just play the victim, and the teacher will surely believe me. Let us check the surveillance, the physics teacher said coldly. The laboratory is under full surveillance. Bai Nanxian's complexion turned ghostly pale. Surveillance? I'm finished. That angle will definitely capture me tampering under the table.
Teacher.
She suddenly knelt. I was wrong. I just wanted to win so badly. My family is too poor. I need that guaranteed spot. The invigilating teachers exchanged glances. The physics teacher sighed. Bai Nancian, your competition qualification is hereby revoked. This matter will be reported to the school for further action. On the way back to class, Xiao Ming and Li Ting approached me. How did it go? Was the plan successful? Perfectly executed. I couldn't help but smile. She brought this upon herself, blowing herself up. Such satisfaction. Lu Feng cheered. Now she's finished. But we celebrated too soon. During the afternoon class meeting, Teacher Wang entered the room with a grave expression. Bai Nancian has something to say regarding the incident during the physics competition. With red-rimmed eyes, Bai Nancian stood. I'm sorry, everyone. I was momentarily confused, she sobbed. But I truly felt cornered. The class monitor has always targeted me, and I was terrified. Haha, just blame Lin Yanxi. There's no evidence proving I did anything. The entire class gasped in shock. Did she really intend to frame me? Lin Yanxi is targeting you? Teacher Wang frowned. Do you have any evidence? She, and the entire class isolated me. Bai Nanxian's tears flowed freely. They even spread rumors that I can hear their thoughts. It's utterly absurd. My heart sank. How did she know we could hear her thoughts? Zhang Yi suddenly stood up. Teacher, I can testify. Lin Yanxi has indeed been orchestrating the class to ostracize Bai Nanxian. The class erupted in chaos. I glared fiercely at Zhang Yi, who avoided my gaze but wore a strange smile. Lin Yanxi, is this true? Teacher Wang fixed a stern look on me. It's not like that, teacher, I stood up. Bai Nanxian has always. Enough. Teacher Wang interrupted. As class monitor, you should lead by example and help new students, not exclude them. Write a reflection and submit it to me tomorrow. Bai Nanxian lowered her head, but her thoughts were filled with victorious glee. Competing with me? You're still too naive. Zhang Yi, that fool, is so useful. He'll bite whoever I tell him to. After the class meeting concluded, the entire class encircled Zhang Yi. Have you lost your mind? Zhao grasped his collar tightly. You are fully aware of who Bai Nanxian is. Zhang Yi coldly shrugged him off, retorting, all I know is that you collectively bully a vulnerable girl. Vulnerable girl? Li Ting exclaimed sharply. She was just mocking you for being a fool. Zhang Yi's expression shifted abruptly. Can you all hear her thoughts? We exchanged glances, astonished. Could it be that Zhang Yi had finally gained this ability? So you really can't hear? I seized upon the crucial point, but you know what Bai Nanxian has done, unless. Zhang Yi's face turned ashen, and he spun on his heel to flee. We attempted to pursue him but were abruptly halted by the sudden appearance of the academic director. Back to the classroom. What are you all doing here after the bell is rung? Observing Zhang Yi's retreating figure, I realized that the situation was far more intricate than we had imagined. There must be some unspeakable secret between him and Bai Nanxian. Lin Yanxi, an 800-word reflection, to be submitted tomorrow. Teacher Wang's words struck me like a slap across the face. I clenched my fists, my nails digging painfully into my palms. Bai Nanxian stood behind Teacher Wang, feigning tears with her head bowed, though the corners of her mouth curled slightly upwards. Serves you right. Let us see you challenge me. I'll find Zhang Yi later. Urging him to spread more rumors, claiming that the class monitor is leading a campaign of bullying. Teacher. Zhao Ming suddenly stood up, his voice trembling with anger. You can't only listen to Bai Nanxian's side of the story. Exactly. Li Ting also rose. It's clearly Bai Nanxian. Enough. Teacher Wang slammed the table. Do you all wish to revolt collectively? The classroom fell into a haunting silence. Bai Nanxian's tears miraculously ceased, and she furtively surveyed the class, her eyes brimming with disdain. A bunch of worthless fools. The teacher will trust me, not you. Challenge me? Train for another decade. At that moment, the classroom door swung open violently. Zhang Yi stood at the entrance, panting, his complexion pale as paper. Zhang Yi. Teacher Wang frowned. What are you doing? He offered no reply, striding directly toward Bai Nanxian, clutching a mobile phone tightly. Enough, Bai Nanxian. His voice was hoarse. I've had enough. Bai Nanxian's expression froze instantly. What's this fool doing? Teacher, I have evidence. Zhang Yi raised his phone. Bai Nanxian orchestrated everything. The sabotage of the physics competition, and how she forged poverty certificates. All of it is here. A wave of gasps rippled through the class. Bai Nanxian's face twisted for a moment, then reverted to her pitiful facade. Zhang Yi, why are you framing me? Her voice trembled. Did the class monitor threaten you? Has this bastard been recording? Impossible. I checked his phone every time. Release it, Teacher Wang commanded sternly. Zhang Yi played a recording. Bai Nanxian's clear voice emanated from the speakers. The device needs to be placed under Lin Yanxi's desk. Once she touches it, it will short-circuit. Poverty certificate? Simple, for 200 yuan, any stamp can be affixed. Zhang Yi, listen, if you want me to keep quiet about your stealing the exam papers, you'd better do as I say. The recording continued, and Bai Nanxian's face shifted from white to green, then to a deep shade of black. She suddenly lunged at Zhang Yi. You're asking for death. Teacher Wang intervened. Bai Nanxian. Watch your language. It's over, it's over, it's over. This fool dares to undermine me. Bai Nanxian's thoughts pierced through like nails on a chalkboard. No, I must find a way to turn this around. Teacher. She suddenly dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face. I was coerced. Someone threatened me. Who threatened you? Teacher Wang inquired coldly. It was. Her eyes darted around before she pointed at me. It was the class monitor. She forced me to cheat, and when I refused, she threatened to have someone beat me. A collective scoff echoed through the classroom. Bai Nanxian, I said calmly, have you forgotten? We can't hear your thoughts. Her body stiffened suddenly, her pupils constricting. What? Since the first day you transferred here, Xiaoming articulated slowly, the entire class has been able to hear what you think. Bai Nanxian's face drained of all color. Her lips quivered as she scanned each face in the classroom, finding only disdain and mockery. No, no way. She stumbled back. You're lying to me. On your very first day, you were thinking to yourself how I was a pretentious class monitor. I sneered, calling Xiaoming a wealthy oaf and Li Ting a four-eyed frog. You called me a fat pig. Lu Fong interjected. You said Teacher Wang was an old hag. Chunyu adjusted his glasses. Bai Nanxian stood frozen, as if struck by lightning. Her expression morphed from shock to fear, culminating in a twisted rage. You. Her voice began to tremble, then suddenly escalated into a scream. You wretched bastards. How dare you play me? The entire class instinctively recoiled a step. The figure before us was no longer the pitiful, impoverished girl, but a ferocious shrew, her eyes bulging, lips frothing white, fingers curled like claws. Bai Nanxian, watch your language. Teacher Wang admonished sternly. To hell with your language. Bai Nanxian shoved Teacher Wang aside. You think I actually care about this wretched school? It's as poor as a church mouse, and the donations only yield so little. Teacher Wang was left speechless, shock evident on his face. Bai Nanxian turned to me, her eyes brimming with palpable hatred. And you, Lin Yanxi, stop pretending to be a good student. Always acting high and mighty, disgusting. I've longed to tear your face apart. She lunged at me, her nails aimed at my eyes. Xiaoming sprang forward, catching her wrist. Don't touch the class monitor, he roared. Bai Nanxian struggled like a wild beast, suddenly biting down hard on Xiaoming's hand. He cried out in pain and released her. Madwoman.
Li Ting's gramat.
I'm the madwoman? Bai Nanxian cackled maniacally. You're the lunatics. Eavesdropping on others' thoughts? A bunch of psychopaths. Perverts. She seized a textbook from the podium and hurled it at us, toppling 2 desks in the process. The classroom descended into chaos as several boys banded together to restrain her. Let go of me. Do you know who my father is? She shrieked. Having completely lost her sanity, with a single finger, he could crush you ants. Damn it. How could this happen? My plan was flawless. How dare this bunch of wretches treat me like this? Finally, Teacher Wang regained his composure and picked up the phone. Security office? Please come immediately to class 3 of the senior year. We have a student who has lost control. Upon hearing the word security, Bai Nanxian abruptly ceased her struggles. Her expression shifted from rage to panic. No, 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 her voice dropped. I cannot be expelled. My mother would kill me. If that old witch finds out I messed up, she'll definitely cut off my allowance. I must salvage this. She reverted to her pitiful demeanor, tears flowing freely. Teacher. Classmates, I was wrong. I was just so scared. She knelt on the ground, pleading for another chance. The entire class coldly observed her performance. Not one person moved. Bai Nanxian, Teacher Wang said wearily, your poverty certificate was forged, wasn't it? Bai Nanxian's lips trembled, but she remained silent. I have already contacted your previous school. Teacher Wang produced a document. You also applied for poverty assistance there, but the investigation revealed that your father is a well-known contractor in the area. The classroom erupted in murmurs. Furthermore, Teacher Wang continued, this is not your first transfer. In the past 3 years, you've changed schools 4 times. And each record indicates behavioral issues. Bai Nanxian's complexion darkened further. She suddenly turned to Zhang Yi, her eyes filled with venom. You betrayed me. I will not let you go. Zhang Yi forced a smile. Bai Nanxian, you threatened me first. You claimed you knew about my stealing the exam papers. But that was a lie, wasn't it? She sneered. For once, you've shown some intelligence, fool. Security arrived, and Bai Nanxian was escorted to the principal's office. Before leaving, She glanced back at us, her gaze sending a chill down my spine. Just you wait. This matter is far from over. I shall ensure that each and every one of you pays the price. Even if I cannot hear her inner voice, I can decipher this threat from her contorted expression. After Nancian departed, the classroom fell into a profound silence, only to erupt into jubilant cheers moments later. Finally, liberation. My goodness, I have never encountered such a loathsome individual in my life. Zhang Yi, you are simply magnificent. Yet, Zhang Yi bowed his head, his face awash with guilt. I'm sorry, everyone. I should have spoken up sooner. Why couldn't you hear her inner voice? Li Ting posed the question that lingered in all our minds. Zhang Yi shook his head. I do not know. But just as she was taken away, I suddenly heard it. He lifted his gaze, a flicker of fear crossing his eyes. She vowed in her heart to make us all pay. This revelation abruptly silenced the cheers. We had all personally experienced Nancian's malice. Her threats were far from idle. Do not fear. Zhao Ming patted Zhang Yi on the shoulder. She has already been exposed. What more can she do? Teacher Wang sighed. Students, I will report this incident to the principal. Nancian is likely to be ordered to transfer schools. She paused, but remember, do not lose faith in kindness because of one individual. We nodded in agreement. Yet deep down, we all understood that someone like Nancian was hardly deserving of the notion of kindness. After school, the entire class spontaneously organized a celebration at a snack shop. We shared the most absurd inner voices of Nancian we had heard, laughing uproariously. She actually believed Zhao Ming had a crush on her, and claimed the principal's bald head resembled a boiled egg. The most outrageous was her comment about Teacher Wang's foundation resembling wall putty. Amidst the laughter, an unsettling feeling lingered within me. That last look from Nancian was excessively malicious, and her inner voice had clearly expressed a desire for revenge. What are you thinking? Zhao Ming handed me a cup of milk tea. Nancian will not let this go so easily, I murmured. She will undoubtedly take action. Zhao Ming dismissed my concerns. What can she do? She has been branded a fraud by the entire school. I shook my head, refraining from elaborating. Perhaps I was overthinking it, but someone like Nancian would never accept defeat. The following day, the principal addressed the Nancian incident during the morning assembly, announcing that she had been ordered to transfer schools. The school erupted in astonishment, and various rumors began to circulate. Some claimed she was a professional scammer, specifically targeting school donations. Others speculated that she had mental health issues and would self-harm to threaten others, yet more suggested her family was involved in organized crime, and she had come to school to recruit followers. Our class became the focal point of the school, with an incessant stream of inquiries regarding the details. However, we tacitly kept the secret of hearing inner voices. Who would believe such a thing? We would only be deemed insane. A week later, Nancian indeed transferred. Her desk was removed, her student records were pulled, as if she had never existed. Yet we all knew that this matter would not conclude so simply. For on the third day after her transfer, a new post appeared in the forum of the neighboring Sanzhong school. Shocking. A student from Yizhong was collectively bullied, causing her to transfer. The accompanying images depicted the scars drawn on Nancian's wrist, alongside her tear-streaked selfies.
Look at this.
Li Ting slammed her phone onto the desk, the screen displaying a trending post on a social platform titled "The Record of a Poor Transfer Student Being Bullied by Yizhong Students." The post had garnered over 10,000 likes, the comment section overflowing with condemnation. How terrifying are today as students. Isn't Yizhong a prestigious school? Is this their level of quality? Identify those bullies. A wave of nausea washed over me. The post featured close-ups of Nancian's wrist, marked with red ink, as well as a photo of her looking haggard in a hospital bed, later confirmed to be staged. The narrative twisted the truth, portraying her as a pitiable transfer student ostracized and bullied due to her impoverished background, while our class was painted as a gang of bullies abusing their power.
How dare she?
Zhao Ming seized the phone, his fingers nearly crushing the screen. It was clearly her fault. She certainly dares. I interrupted him, for we lacked evidence. The class fell into silence. That was indeed the crux of the matter. Who would believe our claim of hearing Nancian's inner voice? To outsiders, this appeared to be a collective persecution of a poor transfer student. Someone in the comments even referred to the physics competition. Lu Fong whispered. I leaned in closer to see, and indeed, Someone had leaked. I heard that the class monitor deliberately sabotaged her experimental equipment to prevent her from participating in the competition. The likes were steadily increasing. That was her own doing. Chi shouted, her voice rising. We knew it was futile. Li Ting adjusted her glasses. The issue at hand was that this post had already gone viral, and the school administration would surely take action. As expected, during the second break, our homeroom teacher, Wang, entered the classroom with a grim expression. Lin Yanshi, Zhao Ming, come with me to the principal's office. Also, Li Ting and Lu Fang. The atmosphere in the principal's office was as tense as iron. The principal, the head of the teaching department, and the grade leader lined up like judges, scrutinizing us. You are all aware of the post, correct? The principal got straight to the point. We nodded. The school board is taking this matter very seriously. The principal adjusted his glasses. This incident has impacted the school's reputation. This morning, a parent called to inquire, and the Education Bureau has also taken notice. But principal, I summoned my courage. The content of the post is entirely false. It's by Nancian. Evidence? The head of the teaching department interrupted me. Do you have substantial evidence to accuse a poor student of fabricating injuries, deceiving for donations, and sabotaging experiments, aside from your absurd claim of hearing her inner voice? We were left speechless. Indeed, aside from the recording provided by Zhang Yi, which was later proven to be edited, we possessed no concrete evidence. Bai Nancian had already transferred. The principal sighed. However, this matter must be quelled. The school will issue a statement indicating a serious investigation into the phenomenon of campus bullying. As the class monitor, Lin Yanshi, you are to take the lead in making a statement. My nails dug deeply into my palm. A statement? What kind of statement? Acknowledging that we bullied Bai Nancian? Principal, Zhao Ming suddenly interjected. This is unfair. It was clearly Bai Nancian. Enough. The head of the teaching department slammed the table. Do you still think this matter isn't big enough? Now, the internet is claiming that Yizhong students collectively bullied a poor student. What will happen to this year's enrollment? What about the school's reputation? As I exited the principal's office, my steps felt as though they were laden with lead. The school's stance was unmistakably clear. To quell public opinion, they would willingly sacrifice us. They cared not for the truth. Li Ting skufa. They only care about the school's image. What do we do now? Lu Fang was on the verge of tears. My parents saw that post and they believed it, scolding me for a long time last night. I bit my lip. The situation was more severe than I had imagined. Bai Nancian's maneuver was ruthless, exploiting online public opinion and the school's weakness to corner us. Upon returning to the classroom, all my classmates gathered around. After learning of the school's stance, everyone was incensed. This is absurd. Are we to take the blame for this? That wretched Bai Nancian. Silence. I raised my voice. Arguing is futile. We need evidence. Tangible evidence that can reveal Bai Nancian's true nature. What about Zhang Yi's recording? Someone inquired. It was claimed to be edited. Zhao Ming's face darkened. And besides, Zhang Yi has now transferred to Sanzhong and we cannot reach him. Sanzhong? A jolt of realization struck me. Isn't that where Bai Nancian transferred? Wait. Li Ting suddenly said, didn't Bai Nancian claim to be bullied? She should have many injury proofs then. If we can prove those scars are fake, I will check with the hospital. Zhao Ming volunteered. My aunt works at the People's Hospital. I will go find Zhang Yi. I resolved he might know more about Bai Nancian. It's too dangerous, Li Ting protested. Sanzhong is now Bai Nancian's territory. Then let us arrange to meet him this weekend, I insisted. We must try. The physics competition finals are next week. I should be preparing diligently. But now, this matter is evidently more urgent. On Saturday morning, I waited for Zhang Yi at a cafe near Sanzhong. He appeared even thinner than the last time I saw him, heavy dark circles under his eyes. You shouldn't have come looking for me. As soon as he took his seat, he whispered, Bai Nancian knows she's driving everyone insane. Is she still controlling you? I find it hard to believe. Zhang Yi forced a bitter smile. It's worse than before. Now the entire school believes she is the pitiful transfer student being bullied. The boys vie to protect her, while the girls, fearing isolation, seek her favor. Then why do you still? Because I'm afraid of her. Zhang Yi's voice trembled. Lin Yanshi, you don't understand Bai Nancian. She is not a typical school bully. She is genuinely terrifying. He recounted how Bai Nanxian, after transferring, not only failed to tone down her behavior, but instead escalated it. She capitalized on the sympathy she garnered at the third school, swiftly forming a clique that targeted those who questioned her. Last week, a girl said she was playing the victim, and the next day, she was anonymously reported for theft. Zhang Yi lowered his voice. The surveillance just happened to malfunction. No one could prove that girl's innocence. She was forced to transfer. I gasped. Did Bai Nanxian do that? She boasted about it to me. A flicker of fear crossed Zhang Yi's eyes. She said she underestimated you at the first school and wouldn't make the same mistake again. What mistake? Underestimating her opponent. Suddenly, Zhang Yi grasped my hand. Lin Yanxi, be careful during the physics competition. My heart raced. What do you mean? I don't know the specifics of her plan. He shook his head, but she asked about your participation yesterday and smiled in a way that sent chills down my spine. Before parting ways, Zhang Yi handed me a USB drive. This contains other recordings I secretly backed up. It may be useful. Don't contact me again. Bai Nanxian is currently monitoring my every move. Once home, I immediately examined the contents of the USB drive. Inside were several chilling recordings. The third school is much easier to deceive. A bunch of idiots. Once I establish myself, I will make that group of lowlifes at the first school pay. The last sentence sent shivers down my spine. What was Bai Nanxian planning? How would she interfere with my competition? The next day, Zhao Ming brought good news. My aunt helped look into it. Bai Nanxian has had no medical records at any public hospital in the last 3 months. Those injury certificates are definitely forged. That's fantastic.
리딩 잘했.
Now, we can prove she's lying. We immediately organized the evidence. Hospital certificates, Zhang Yi's recordings, and the contradictory records of Bai Nanxian's actions collected by classmates. Li Ting even found a shopping receipt from the mall for the same day. She claimed her mother was hospitalized and needed money urgently.
Still not enough.
I shook my head. These only prove she's lying but don't prove we didn't bully her. Then what should we do? Lu Fong asked. We need to tackle it at the source. I resolved to find evidence of her forged injuries. The day before the physics competition, I stayed late at school to finalize my experimental plan. The classroom was deserted, silent enough to hear the ticking of the clock. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept in from behind. I turned abruptly. The window was slightly ajar, as if someone had just touched it. Is anyone there? I approached the window, but the outside was empty. Must be the wind, I thought. Yet upon returning to my seat, I discovered my neatly organized folder had been rummaged through. Opening it, my heart nearly stopped. The crucial data sheet for tomorrow's competition was missing. I frantically searched, finally finding it in the trash, already torn to shreds. Even more terrifying, my experimental notes had been carelessly altered with red ink, key parameters deliberately changed. If I followed this for my experiment tomorrow, not only would I fail, but it could also pose a danger. My hands trembled so violently I could scarcely hold the notebook. Who would do such a thing? The answer was painfully clear. The security office. I rushed in and demanded to review the surveillance footage. The on-duty guard was initially reluctant, but when I mentioned potential destruction of school property, he reluctantly pulled up the recordings. The footage revealed that half an hour ago, a figure in a hat and mask had scaled the back wall into the campus. Though obscured, that figure was undoubtedly Bai Nanxian. She stealthily made her way to our classroom, pried open the window, and jumped inside. 5 minutes later, she emerged, shoving something into her pocket. This needs to be reported to the principal, the guard exclaimed, astonished. First, make me a copy of that footage. I gritted my teeth. This time, she won't get away. Upon returning home, I convened an online meeting with my entire class. After watching the surveillance video, the group chat erupted. Has she lost her mind? Trespassing into the school? This is a crime. We finally have evidence. No, it's still not enough. I poured cold water on their excitement. The video is too blurry. She can easily deny it's her. Then what do we do? Zhao Ming asked. I took a deep breath. We'll turn the tables on her. Tomorrow during the competition, I will pretend to use the altered data for my experiment. That's too risky. Li Ting interjected. Listen to me, I continued, but I will actually use the correct data. When the experiment goes wrong, Bai Nanxian will surely jump in to accuse me of cheating. She must have people arranged at the venue. At that moment, we will reveal all the evidence.
Can this really work?
Lu Fong asked anxiously. It has to. I affirmed firmly. This is our only chance. After a moment of silence, Xiaoming was the first to respond. Count me in. I'll keep an eye on Bai Nanxian's movements. I'll organize the evidence chain, said Li Ting. I'll contact the media, Qinyu added, adjusting his glasses. This time, we will reveal the truth. Watching my classmates rally together, my eyes grew warm. The class once divided by Nanxian was now united like never before. Tomorrow, it will all come to an end, I whispered. Yet deep down, I knew it wouldn't be that simple. Someone like Bai Nanxian would never concede easily.
Outside.
A flash of lightning split the night sky, illuminating my desk where the altered experimental notes lay. The red ink glared like blood, ominously foreshadowing the storm to come.
7.
On the day of the physics competition, the sky loomed ominously, as if it might collapse. I stood outside the venue, repeatedly checking the items in my backpack, the correct experimental data, a miniature recording device, and a copy of the surveillance video of Bai Nanxian infiltrating the school. Nervous? Xiaoming appeared beside me, holding 2 cups of hot soy milk. A bit, I replied, accepting the drink, feeling its warmth spread through my fingers. Any movement from Bai Nanxian? Zhang Yi messaged me early in the morning, stating she had left the house early and had even dressed up. She's definitely coming to the venue, Xiaoming whispered. I nodded, taking a sip of the soy milk, its sweetness just right. A thoughtful gesture from Xiaoming, who knew I preferred sweets when anxious. The whole class is in position. Xiaoming checked his phone. Li Ting and Qinyu were in the media area, while Lu Fang and others were seated among the audience. Zhang Yi said he would keep an eye on Bai Nanxian. Media? I frowned. We didn't invite the media.
Qinyu contacted them.
Xiaoming grinned. His cousin works as a reporter at the city television station. Upon hearing about this explosive campus drama, he rushed over with a camera. I nearly choked on the soy milk. The pressure just increased. If our plan failed, not only I but the entire class and even the school would become a laughingstock. Don't worry, Xiaoming seemed to read my thoughts. This time we are well prepared. She won't escape. Contestants were gradually entering the venue. I found my experiment station, deliberately placing the tampered notebook in a conspicuous spot. According to our plan, I would feign preparation of the experiment using the erroneous parameters to lure Bai Nanxian into action. There were still 10 minutes left before the contestants' preparation time. The announcement rang out. I scanned the room, but did not see Bai Nanxian, although the audience was filling up. Li Ting and Qinyu had set up the cameras in the media area, while Lu Fang and several classmates disguised themselves as ordinary spectators. Spreading out in the seating area. Attention all contestants, the judge took the stage. This final round will feature a special segment with leaders from the Education Bureau and media observing. Please each showcase your best performance. Media? My heart raced. In addition to the one Qinyu contacted, was there official media present? This was getting serious. The bell signaling the start of the experiment rang. I followed the plan, pretentiously adjusting the instruments according to the tampered parameters. A commotion arose from the audience, and out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of a familiar figure, Bai Nanxian. Dressed in the uniform of the 3rd high school, she occupied a seat in the front row, her gaze fixed intently on my experiment station. Fool, you've indeed used false data. Her internal monologue resonated clearly. Prepare for humiliation, you wretched being. This time, I shall ensure your disgrace before the entire city. My hands trembled slightly, yet I resolved to follow through with my plan. As I mixed the erroneous solution, I deliberately hesitated, feigning uncertainty. Contestant number 7, do you have a problem? The judge noticed my abnormal demeanor. The color of my solution seems off, I timidly replied. Could I double-check the formula? Ha, she s taking the bait. Bai Nanxian's thoughts practically leaped with excitement. Expose her. Hurry.
Indeed.
A bespectacled boy in the audience suddenly stood up. Judge. I suspect contestant number 7 has falsified her data. An uproar erupted throughout the venue. The judge approached my experiment station with a frown. What evidence do you have? I heard her previous experimental data was problematic. The boy stammered, clearly unprepared with specifics. Bai Nanxian, in a fit of urgency, stood up. I can testify. She has frequently cheated at 1st high school. Damn it, this worthless fool is being so vague. Her internal voice was laced with frustration. I must take matters into my own hands. The venue buzzed with agitation. Officials from the Education Bureau murmured among themselves, and reporters immediately trained their cameras on the unfolding scene. "Which school do you attend, young lady?" the judge asked by Nancian. "I am a student from 3rd High School," she declared with feigned righteousness, "but I have witnessed Lin Yanxi committing acts of dishonesty multiple times at 1st High School. Let us see how you squirm. The media is present. 1st High School will certainly expel you." I took a deep breath. It was time to act.
Judge.
"I request to review my original experimental notes." The judge nodded in agreement. I retrieved the authentic notebook from my bag and signaled to Li Ting in the media section. "My notes have been tampered with," I declared loudly, ensuring everyone present could hear, "and I have evidence to prove who did it." Suddenly, the large screen illuminated, displaying footage of Bai Nancian infiltrating the school, climbing through a window into the classroom, and tearing up my documents. Although the image was somewhat blurry, her distinctive features were unmistakable. The audience gasped in shock. Bai Nancian's face turned ashen. "This isn't me," she shrieked in denial. "It's fabricated. Lin Yanxi is framing me. How could that be? There wasn't any surveillance that day." I checked. The recording bore no signs of manipulation. A media technician promptly confirmed, "This is the original surveillance footage." An official from the Education Bureau stood up. "Young lady, you are suspected of property destruction and defamation. Please cooperate with the investigation." Bai Nancian, flustered, suddenly pointed at the bespectacled boy. "He coerced me into doing it. He likes me and promised me money if I helped him." The boy stood dumbfounded. I don't know her." The scene descended into chaos. At that moment, Zhang Yi burst through a side door, holding up a USB drive. "I have evidence. Bai Nancian is a professional con artist." All eyes turned to Zhang Yi. He was drenched in sweat, his clothes disheveled, as if he had run a great distance. "What is this?" the judge inquired, taking the USB drive. "Evidence of Bai Nancian's crimes," Zhang Yi panted. "She is not just an ordinary student. She is a member of a fraud ring that transfers between schools to deceive." The large screen switched to the contents of the USB, revealing recorded conversations between Bai Nancian and several unsavory youths as they discussed how to forge poverty certificates, create fake injuries, and solicit donations from schools while pocketing the proceeds. "This is only the beginning." Zhang Yi raised his voice. "She scammed nearly 100,000 yuan using the same methods across 3 schools. There is more evidence on my phone." Bai Nancian completely unraveled. "Zhang Yi, you're asking for trouble." She lunged at him, but was intercepted by security. "It's over, it's over, it's over. How could those recordings reach that old hag? She will kill me." Her internal voice was filled with terror. An old hag? I seized upon that term, pondering who it might be. Bai Nancian abruptly fell silent, yet her thoughts had already divulged more. "I cannot say. I absolutely cannot say. That old witch will skin me alive." The official from the Education Bureau maintained a serious expression. "This matter must be thoroughly investigated. All relevant evidence will be handed over to the police." Journalists clamored to capture photographs and footage. This was undoubtedly going to be tomorrow's headline. The competition was forcibly interrupted. As Bai Nancian was led away by security, she glanced back at me, her gaze filled with venom that sent chills down my spine. "Lin Yanxi, you wait. This is not over. My benefactor will not let you off the hook." Her internal voice slithered into my ears like a venomous snake. At the post-competition summary meeting, the principal personally apologized to us, stating that the school would issue a statement to clarify the previous bullying rumors. The entire class erupted in cheers, yet only Zhang Yi and I remained concerned. Who could her benefactor be? I quietly inquired of Zhang Yi. His complexion paled. "A woman named Hong Jia. Bai Nancian is merely one of her pawns, exploiting her student status to defraud across schools." "How do you know all this?" I pressed. "During the time I was coerced, I overheard Bai Nancian on the phone," Zhang Yi replied, his voice trembling. "They have a complete network dedicated to forging documents and fabricating false evidence. Bai Nancian is responsible for playing the victim to solicit funds, while others handle the aftermath and threaten those in the know." I inhaled sharply. The situation was far more dire than I had imagined. "We must report this," I declared resolutely. "It's futile." Zhang Yi shook his head. "Their influence is vast, and the police have insiders. Unless what? Unless we obtain core evidence, such as their accounting books or a list of members." Upon returning home, I immediately convened an online meeting with the class committee. After hearing Zhang Yi's detailed account, everyone was astonished. So, by Nancian is just a pawn? Li Ting adjusted her glasses. There's a professional fraud ring behind her? Exactly, Zhang Yi nodded. And they specifically target schools because students are easier to deceive, and donations are readily available. No wonder Bai Nancian appeared so practiced, Zhao Ming mused. Those fake injuries and tragic tales were all rehearsed. The pressing question now is, what do we do? I surveyed everyone on the screen, aware that while Bai Nancian had been apprehended, her benefactor would undoubtedly seek revenge. After a moment of silence, Chun Yu suddenly proposed, "Let us turn the tables on them." What do you mean? Despite Bai Nancian's capture, that ring would surely send others in her place. Chun Yu reasoned, we can set a trap to lure them in. How do we lure them? By leveraging the district-wide joint examination. Chun Yu's eyes sparkled. That's the biggest school event coming up, with high media attention. They won't miss such an opportunity. We meticulously discussed the plan. Zhang Yi would feign being coerced again and provide the ring with insider information. Zhao Ming and I would prepare the trap. Li Ting would contact trustworthy media, and other classmates would be stationed in various examination venues to gather evidence. There's one more issue. Zhang Yi hesitated. That Hongjia is dangerous. What if the plan fails? It won't fail, I asserted firmly. This time we hold the initiative. After the meeting concluded, Zhao Ming messaged me privately. This is too dangerous. Are you really going to do this? We must, I replied, not just for our class, but for other potential victims in different schools. Lying in bed, I tossed and turned. By Nancian's last words, I want to let you off, echoed in my mind like a curse. But what unsettled me more was that this fraud ring had evidently been operating for years. Why had they only now been discovered? How many more students like Bai Nancian lurked in various schools? Outside, a flash of lightning split the night sky, illuminating my examination admission ticket for the district-wide joint examination on my desk. In 3 days, everything would come to a head, regardless of the outcome. On the day of the district-wide joint examination, I awoke at 5 o'clock. The outside world was still cloaked in darkness, with only the streetlights casting a dim glow in the rain. I fished my phone out from under my pillow. The class group chat was already buzzing. Equipment has been tested, over. Zhao Ming sent along with a photo of a surveillance camera. Media is in position, over. Li Ting replied with an okay gesture. What's the situation on Zhang Yi's end? Lu Fong inquired. I gazed at the screen for what felt like an eternity before Zhang Yi finally replied. Contact made. The bait has taken. Half an hour later, we would meet at the examination hall. My finger hovered hesitantly above the screen, debating whether to inquire for further details. For the past 3 days, Zhang Yi had been playing the role of a double agent, providing that woman known as Hong Jia with our meticulously fabricated internal information. It was said that this joint examination would be subject to a secret inspection by the Education Bureau, focusing on students with poor academic performance to prevent cheating. This, of course, was a ruse. However, according to Zhang Yi's intelligence, Hong Jia's gang specialized in aiding wealthy students to cheat for profit, and this news would surely compel them to adjust their plans. Stay safe, I ultimately sent as my only message. The examination venue was set at the 3rd high school. Upon my arrival, the school gate was already teeming with students from various institutions. The rain continued to pour, and the vibrant colors of umbrellas stood out starkly against the gloomy sky. Lin Yanxi. Zhao Ming waved from a short distance away. Dressed entirely in black, he had a nondescript badge pinned to his chest, which was, in fact, a miniature camera. What's the situation? Asked in a lowered voice. Zhang Yi just messaged me. Hong Jia is personally involved, Zhao Ming replied, his brow furrowed. She is disguised as an inspector from the Education Bureau and has already entered. A weight settled heavily in my chest. According to Zhang Yi's previous descriptions, Hong Jia was the leader of this fraudulent gang and seldom engaged directly. Her presence today indicated that the bait we had laid out was indeed enticing. What about Bai Nancian? She's here too, Zhao Ming sneered, appearing unfazed as he exchanged pleasantries with a teacher from the 3rd high school. The announcement sounded, urging candidates to enter the examination room. Zhao Ming and I parted ways, locating our seats according to our admission tickets. The classroom was filled with students from different schools, and the air buzzed with tension and anticipation. My seat was by the window, allowing me to catch a glimpse of the playground. Through the curtain of rain, I spotted several figures hurrying toward the examination office under black umbrellas. One silhouette made my heart race, a slender figure, with long hair, slightly hunched as she walked, resembling Bai Nanxian. Candidates, please check your seats and place your personal belongings on the podium. The invigilator began to announce the examination regulations. I forced myself to concentrate. No matter what transpired, I needed to focus on the exam. This was a crucial part of our plan, to deceive the scam gang into believing we were unguarded. Once the Chinese exam papers were distributed, the only sounds left in the classroom were the scratching of pens against paper. I quickly scanned the essay topic on the value of integrity, nearly bursting into laughter. This topic was tailor-made for today. After writing for about half an hour, the back door of the classroom was gently pushed open. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of a woman in an Education Bureau uniform entering, followed by two staff members. The invigilator immediately approached her for a hushed conversation. The woman appeared to be around 40, her hair elegantly styled, with a polished demeanor that exuded authority. However, as she paced through the classroom, I noticed a serpent tattoo faintly visible at the nape of her neck. It had to be Hong Jia. She conducted a slow survey, occasionally pausing beside a candidate. When she reached the desk of a boy diagonally in front of me, her finger imperceptibly tapped the surface. The boy immediately coughed 3 times and raised his hand. "Teacher, may I go to the restroom?" The invigilator glanced at the Education Bureau leader, received a nod, and allowed him to exit. Less than 2 minutes later, the boy returned, looking significantly more relaxed, and his pace of answering questions noticeably quickened. I quietly noted everything. This was precisely the tactic Zhang Yi had mentioned. They transmitted answers during the exam using special signals. The bell signaling the end of the first exam rang, and students surged out. I headed straight to the designated meeting point, the storage room behind the library, as planned. Li Ting, Zhao Ming, and several other classmates had already arrived, gathered around a laptop examining surveillance footage. "We got it!" Li Ting exclaimed excitedly, pointing at the screen. "Look. Bai Nanxian is in the women's restroom stall using her phone to send answers." In the footage, Bai Nanxian sat on the toilet, rapidly typing something on her phone, a triumphant smile on her face. "What about Hong Jia?" I asked. Even more thrilling, Zhao Ming switched the display. The surveillance showed Hong Jia inspecting exam papers in the examination office, secretly using a miniature camera to photograph the questions. More astonishingly, she was stealthily pouring some white powder into a cup by the water dispenser. Is she drugging someone? A chill ran down my spine. It must be for the invigilator.
Li Ting adjusted her glasses.
Zhang Yi mentioned they often employ this tactic. Just then, Zhang Yi burst in, panting. "This is bad. Hong Jia has discovered me." His face was ashen, and part of his clothing had been torn. I just overheard her on the phone, saying she plans to pull off something big today. "And it's not just cheating." "What do you mean?" Zhao Ming seized him. "I don't know, but she mentioned netting and eliminating evidence." Zhang Yi's voice trembled. Bai Nanxian seemed merely a bait. The real target was. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside. We fell silent, holding our breath. "It's me." Chinyu pushed the door open. "Hong Jia's people have begun searching the campus, apparently looking for someone." "Are they looking for Zhang Yi?" I inquired. Chun Yu shook his head. "They're after the surveillance room. They seem to have discovered they were recorded. The plan has been accelerated." I made a swift decision. "Zhao Ming, inform all the students to implement Plan B. Li Ting, send the surveillance back up to your cousin. Zhang Yi, hide, and keep a low profile." Everyone dispersed quickly. I took a deep breath and walked towards the examination room for the second subject. Regardless of Hong Jia's intentions, we had to act preemptively before she could ensnare us. As the math examination commenced, I noticed the atmosphere in the classroom grow palpably tense. The invigilator kept drinking water, appearing drowsy, most likely already affected by the drug Hong Jia had administered. Halfway through the exam, the classroom was suddenly plunged into darkness. Students gasped in surprise. Silence. Hong Jia's voice called from the doorway. "It's just a temporary power outage. It will be restored soon." But my eyes had adjusted to the dimness, and I could see several figures moving swiftly through the classroom, slipping items into the desks of certain candidates. Power was restored swiftly. The moment the lights flickered back on, screams erupted from both inside and outside the classroom. "Someone is stealing the exam papers," a voice shouted from the corridor. The Education Bureau leaders are imposters. Another voice called out. Stop them. Don't let them escape. The classroom descended into chaos. Hong Jie's expression shifted dramatically. She turned to flee but was intercepted by a security guard who had charged in. Madam, please present your identification. Hong Jie forced a calm demeanor. I am with the Education Bureau as supervisory team. You have no authority here. Then may I ask if you recognize this person? The guard stepped aside to reveal Bai Nanxian, being escorted and looking pale, clutching a stack of cheat sheets. I don't know her, Hong Jie replied coldly. Bai Nanxian suddenly looked up, her eyes filled with disbelief. Hong Jie? You. Silence. Hong Jie barked, but it was too late. The classroom erupted in uproar. Students stood up to watch. Some began recording. Realizing the situation was turning against her, Hong Jie hastily pulled something from her briefcase and threw it to the ground, releasing a pungent cloud of smoke that quickly filled the room. Tear gas.
Get down.
Xiaoming lunged from somewhere and pushed me down. Coughing and screams mingled in a cacophony. When the smoke dissipated, Hong Jie had vanished, leaving only Bai Nanxian slumped on the floor, held tightly by the security guard. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. She murmured, her gaze vacant. It's over, Hong Jie abandoned me, that wretched woman. I will reveal everything. If I'm to die, let us die together. Bai Nanxian, I approached her. The game is up. She looked up at me, her fear gradually replaced by hatred. Lin Yanxi, it's all your fault. All your fault. She suddenly screamed hysterically. Do you know who she is? Hong Jie has 3 lives on her hands. I was just helping her make money. The room erupted in shock. The security guard immediately covered her mouth. But it was too late. Everyone had heard her confession. Take her away. The principal's face was ashen. Call the police. Lock down the campus completely. As Bai Nanxian was dragged away, her words poured out like a broken dam. Wretched woman. They're all wretched. Hong Jie promised to give me 100,000 to take the blame. Lin Yanxi ruined everything. I want to kill her. Kill her. I stood frozen in place, my legs trembling. Xiaoming steadied me. It's over, she finished. No, it's not over, I shook my head. Hong Jie has escaped. Yet she never dared to show her face again. Li Ting approached, clutching her phone. My cousin had uploaded all the surveillance footage online, including Bai Nanxian's confession. The police were conducting a citywide manhunt for Hong Jie. The sound of sirens echoed across the campus. Our classmates gradually gathered on the playground, exchanging accounts of the recent events. To our astonishment, in addition to those we had anticipated, 3 more students from different schools had been apprehended, all members of Hong Jie's gang. So, was Bai Nanxian merely a pawn? Lu Fong whispered. Zhang Yi nodded. Hong Jie had embedded such individuals in every school. Feigning pity to solicit donations was merely a side venture. Her primary income stemmed from assisting wealthy students in cheating and orchestrating examination fraud. No wonder she was so adept. Xiaoming shook his head. Those fake scars and tragic tales were the result of professional training. By the time the police finished taking statements, it was already evening. The rain had ceased, and a hint of twilight shimmered in the western sky. Our entire class congregated at a nearby milk tea shop, finally able to relax. You would never guess what the most outrageous thought I heard from Bai Nanxian was, Chinyu suddenly exclaimed. She said Xiaoming was muscular but simple-minded. Suitable to be a stud. Laughter erupted throughout the class. Xiaoming sprayed milk tea everywhere. What on earth? I heard her say that teacher Wang's foundation resembled wall putty. Lu Fong raised her hand. She said the principal's bald head looked like a salted egg. She said the cafeteria ladies served smaller portions because of menopause. Everyone chimed in, releasing the pent-up emotions of the past few months. The milk tea shop was filled with joy and laughter. Frankly, Li Ting adjusted her glasses, although hearing others' thoughts was terrifying. It was precisely because of this ability that we could see through Bai Nanxian. Speaking of which, Zhang Yi suddenly lowered his voice. Have you all noticed that we seem unable to hear others' thoughts lately? A moment of silence followed, before everyone nodded in agreement. Indeed, since Bai Nanxian's arrest, that peculiar ability seemed to have dissipated. Perhaps it existed solely to enable us to see through Bai Nanxian, I murmured. Xiaoming raised his milk tea cup. Regardless, let us toast to the most united anti-fraud alliance in our class's history. Cheers to the anti-fraud alliance. Everyone clinked their cups, laughter echoing into the twilight. I sipped my milk tea and gazed out the window. In the distance, the red and blue lights of police cars still flickered, but the sky had cleared. Tomorrow would herald a new day. Lin Yanxi. The results are out. My phone vibrated incessantly as I rubbed my sleepy eyes and glanced at the screen. The class group chat was ablaze. At 4 a.m, the college entrance examination results had just been released, and my classmates were eagerly sharing their scores. My hands trembled slightly as I entered my candidate number, making 3 errors in the process. During the seconds it took for the page to refresh, my heart raced as if it would leap from my chest. 689 points. I shouted into the empty room, my voice echoing loudly in the pre-dawn silence. My phone was instantly inundated with congratulatory messages. I hurriedly scanned my classmates' scores. Xiaoming 652, Li Ting 703, Lu Fong 635. The class average had risen by nearly 30 points since the mock exam, setting a historical record for our school.
We did it.
Xiaoming sent a flurry of firecracker emojis in the chat. Now that the calamity of Binancean was gone, our class was soaring. I cradled my phone, tears streaming uncontrollably down my face. This past half-year felt like an interminable nightmare, and now, we had finally welcomed the dawn.
Outside.
The first rays of morning light pierced through the clouds. I opened the window and inhaled deeply, savoring the air imbued with the scent of dew.
Today,
I would go to school to fill out my college applications. The campus was alive with a jubilant atmosphere. Banners hung high, and congratulatory notices adorned the bulletin boards. As I entered the classroom, my classmates were already gathered in small groups, discussing their aspirations. Lin Yanxi. Li Ting waved at me. Come see. Chunyu made a statistical chart, and there are 17 of us who have scored above the key line. I leaned closer to her computer screen, which detailed each person's score and their desired university. My name was marked with Tsinghua University's Department of Physics. The physics department? Xiaoming, who had unexpectedly appeared behind me, remarked, I thought you would choose psychology.
Why?
You can hear others' thoughts. He winked, suggesting I would make a perfect psychologist. We all laughed. Curiously, since the resolution of the Binancean incident, our class's mind-reading ability had gradually faded. Initially, everyone found it a bit disorienting, but later it felt liberating. After all, not every thought was worthy of being heard. Frankly, Li Ting adjusted her glasses again. Have you ever pondered why we abruptly gained and then lost this ability? God knows. Lu Fong interjected. Perhaps it was a case of collective hysteria? Or an alien experiment, Xiaoming said with a straight face. I shook my head, opting not to join the discussion. Deep down, I preferred to believe it was a gift, teaching us to discern truth from falsehood and to see through the human heart. Quiet down, everyone. Our homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang, entered the classroom, his face barely concealing his delight. First, let me congratulate you all on your outstanding results.
Now,
we will commence guidance on filling out your applications. After the application process concluded, Mr. Wang kept me, Xiaoming, and Li Ting, along with a few other class representatives. The school has decided to establish an anti-campus fraud publicity group, and we would like to invite you to be key members, Mr. Wang said. After all, you have practical experience. We exchanged glances. Over the past 6 months, our class had indeed become a prime example of campus fraud prevention. The Education Bureau had even distributed the fraud identification handbook we compiled on Binancean to schools throughout the city. No problem, I replied on behalf of the group. We can reach out to other victims and create a more comprehensive anti-fraud guide. That's wonderful. Mr. Wang patted my shoulder appreciatively. By the way, Binancean's trial will commence next week. You may need to testify. As we left the school gates, we instinctively turned towards the snack street behind the school. There was a milk tea shop that had served as our command center for the past 6 months. Speaking of which, how did Zhang Yi do? I poked at my pearl milk tea, suddenly recalling this former trader. 587 points, Li Ting, always well-informed, replied. He applied to the police academy, expressing a desire to become a detective specializing in catching fraudsters. We fell silent. Zhang Yi had later confessed everything to us. He had been caught stealing exam papers in middle school, and Binancean had discovered him, making him a target for her coercion. Yet, at the critical moment, he chose to stand on the side of justice. He was actually quite brave. Xiaoming broke the silence. If it were me, I might not dare risk being a double agent. I nodded, recalling Zhang Yi's pale face and torn collar on the day of the joint exam. Hong Jia was still at large. While most of her gang had been captured, a few key figures remained free. By the way, have you heard? Lu Fong whispered. Bai Nanxian might receive a harsher sentence than Hong Jia.
Why?
Wasn't she just a pawn? Because she is an adult now, and the evidence against her is irrefutable. Li Ting explained. Hong Jia's legal team is formidable, and they may shift much of the blame onto Bai Nanxian. I stirred the ice in my cup, my emotions tangled. Once, I had wished for Bai Nanxian to vanish instantly, but now, hearing that she might face more than a decade in prison, I felt no joy. She deserves it. Zhao Ming seemed to read my thoughts. Think of the things she did: fraud, framing others, even attempting to harm people with sulfuric acid. I understand, I replied softly. It's just that she is practically our age. On my way home, I detoured to a bookstore to purchase some preparatory materials for university. In the psychology section, a book caught my eye, The Labyrinth of the Human Heart, How to Recognize Lies. Flipping to the first page, the opening line stunned me. The most terrifying lies are those that even the liar believes to be true. Was Bai Nanxian like this? After pretending to be pitiful for so long, had she lost the ability to discern her performance from her true self? The July sun blazed down, harsh and blinding. I stood at the bus stop, watching the throngs of people passing by on the road. How many among them were masked in deception? How many genuine hearts lay hidden? And how fortunate we were to have once possessed the ability to pierce through to the core of human hearts. On the day of the court hearing, our class was represented by over a dozen individuals. When Bai Nanxian was brought in wearing prison garb, escorted by a bailiff, I could scarcely recognize her. The once pitiable, impoverished student now bore a vacant stare and a haggard visage. As the prosecutor recited her charges, she kept her head bowed, her fingers entwined in a familiar gesture I had witnessed countless times before, yet this time, no one could hear the whispers of her heart. When the judge inquired whether she pleaded guilty, she remained silent for an extended moment before finally nodding. I need money. Her voice was barely audible. My mother owes high-interest loans, and Hong Jia said she could help me. This marked her first display of genuine vulnerability. In the audience, Zhang Yi clenched his fists, his complexion paling. After the hearing concluded, we encountered Bai Nanxian's mother outside the courthouse, a gaudily made-up middle-aged woman who was berating someone on her phone. Go ahead and sentence her. That wretched girl never listens. I've wasted so much money on her. Upon spotting us, she swiftly donned a smile. You must be from number 1 high school? I'm Nanxian's mother. This child is quite thoughtless and has caused you trouble. We hastily walked away, eager to avoid any interaction with her. Once we had distanced ourselves, Lu Fong whispered, Now I understand why Bai Nanxian turned out this way. A tragedy of her upbringing.
Li Ting adjusted her glasses.
Zhao Ming shook his head, but that cannot serve as an excuse for her to harm others. I glanced back at the imposing entrance of the courthouse. Indeed, everyone has a story, yet no one's narrative can justify malevolence. The graduation ceremony was held at the end of July. The campus was adorned with colorful ribbons and balloons, and parents were snapping photos with their cameras. Our class was awarded a banner for being an exemplary class due to our outstanding examination results. Next, let us invite Lin Yanqi, the class president of Senior Class 1. To address us, the principal's voice echoed across the playground through the loudspeaker. I ascended the platform, surveying the familiar faces below. Scenes from the past year flashed through my mind. The sympathy I felt upon first encountering Bai Nanxian, the shock when I realized I could hear her inner thoughts, the anger when I was framed by her, and the determination we exhibited when we united to fight back. Some claimed our class was special. I adjusted the microphone, asserting that it was not merely because of our academic achievements, but rather due to the extraordinary ordeal we had experienced. I did not explicitly mention mind reading, yet the knowing smiles from my classmates indicated their understanding. This experience taught us that the surface may not reveal the truth, and behind sweet words can lurk sharp blades. It also illuminated the fact that true unity and trust can conquer any deception. The applause thundered. I noticed Teacher Wang wiping away tears, Zhao Ming whistling, and Li Ting giving me a thumbs up. After the ceremony concluded, we held our final class meeting in the classroom. Teacher Wang had prepared a large cake, inscribed with Forever Class 1 of Senior 3. Dear students, she raised her juice cup, regardless of where you may go in the future. Please remember the growth this shared experience has bestowed upon you. We relished the cake and reminisced, laughing as we recounted those moments that once kept us awake at night. In retrospect, they had transformed into precious memories of our youth. Suddenly, Xiaoming jumped up, exclaiming, "I almost forgot." He pulled out a manila envelope from his backpack. I had the police officer uncle help me look into the latest news about Hongjia's gang. Everyone leaned in closer. Inside the envelope were stacks of documents and photographs. Hongjia's real name was Hong Li. She had been a substitute teacher at several schools, exploiting her position to establish a fraudulent network. Her gang comprised 9 individuals, 7 of whom had already been apprehended. And 2 are still at large? Li Ting frowned. Yes, but the most crucial ledger has been found. Xiaoming flipped to the last page. Can you guess how many victims there were? 20? Lu Fong speculated. 50?
Chun Yu suggested.
127. Xiaoming stated gravely, spanning 11 schools across the province, with the amount involved exceeding 3 million. I gasped in disbelief. Bai Nanxian was merely a small node in this vast network. Without that peculiar experience of hearing thoughts, we might have never uncovered this criminal web lurking in the shadows of our campus. So, Li Ting adjusted her glasses. We were actually quite fortunate, weren't we? As the sun began to set, we cleaned the classroom for the last time. While wiping the blackboard, I noticed a nearly erased inscription in the corner. Bai Nanxian was here. I chuckled softly and took a cloth to wipe it clean. This name that had once brought us countless troubles was finally fading from our lives. Lin Yanqi. Xiaoming called from the doorway. It's time for the group photo. I dashed towards the playground where my classmates had already formed 3 lines by height. The photographer directed us to adjust our positions. Yes. Move in a bit closer and smile.
Cheese.
We chorused, freezing this moment into eternity. At the instant the shutter clicked, I suddenly heard that familiar voice. Not from the outside, but rather from the depths of my memory. A bunch of fools are so easy to dupe. I turned sharply, finding the playground empty. That was indeed Bai Nanxian's voice, yet I understood it was merely a haunting echo from my recollections. What's wrong? Xiaoming asked with concern. Nothing. I replied with a smile, shaking my head, just a bit nostalgic for the days when I could hear those inner voices. He exaggeratedly shuddered. No thanks. I don't want to go through that again. Some truths are better left unknown. Indeed, some realities are too harsh, and some hearts are too intricate. Yet it was this experience that granted our ordinary class an extraordinary growth. In the graduation photo, we smiled radiantly. On the back of the photograph, everyone signed their names. In the center, I penned a small note, grateful for all truths and lies, for they have taught us how to perceive this world and how to safeguard our hearts. The end of the text. Thank you for listening, and we shall meet again in the next story.